Hi guys, I am in Ipoh at the Banjaran Ipoh. I got here yesterday with Mercedes-Benz Malaysia, and along the way we got to drive different models. So today I'm swapping for the GLE 450. But before that, yesterday I drove the new facelifted W213 E200. Gotta say, quite impressed. So in this video I want to tell you my opinion about the E200. Drove it from KL to Ipoh, and won't be able to drive it back because I actually am quite excited to drive the GLE. But in this video I want to tell you exactly what there is to know about the new facelifted E200. This is the car. So let's turn this around. So as you can see, it's obviously facelifted. So there's a new grille, there's a new front bumper. So the E200 is available in two variants, Avant-Garde and AMG. Of course, then there's the E300 as well. But the Avant-Garde models, which is the one over here, has these 18-inch wheels. So these wheels, the tires are Michelin run flats. And I gotta say that they were actually quite noisy on the highway, which is something I don't quite like. But only at speeds above 110, 120 did it become a little bit intolerable. But anything below that, it was fine. But of course, this is in the interest of space saving, because since we are here, let me show you the boot. It's the boot. It's a pretty generous boot. Thinking about this kink in the boot over here, usually this for hybrid batteries and such, but the amount of space that you get over here and the amount of space that you get over there, slightly different, only by a few millimeters. But consider this, that this is actually a car that costs about 340 over 1,000, and you don't get a power tailgate, which is a bit sad. But in terms of design, obviously new lights. It's actually a very handsome car. Some call this the uncle spec, especially in this color, but that doesn't matter. It's actually quite a handsome car, no doubt about it. The grille is new too. I love the lights. That's a welcome departure from the old. So the E200 doesn't get a panoramic roof. Since we're up here, let's check out the engine bay. Let me get to this. We'll get to the interior later. Let's just check this out. Gas struts. So anyway, this is a 2-liter engine, producing about 197 horsepower and 350 Newton meters of torque, I think. And good for a 0 to 100 acceleration of 7 point something seconds, 7.4, 7.6 seconds. And tops out at about 240 kilometers per hour. So it's actually a very small engine. In fact, it's the same engine that is in the E300 as well, but of course in a different tune. I gotta say that the engine is, even though the power figures are just normal, but it's actually quite a punchy engine. You know, getting up to speed, 150, 160 kilometers per hour, acceleration, beautiful. It actually shoves you back into the seat. 197 horsepower is no joke, guys. For a car of this size, it's actually quite decent. But fuel efficiency wise, KL, Ipoh, a lot of acceleration, some high speeds, and a lot of being stuck in traffic. There was surprisingly heavy traffic on the highway yesterday because of road works and all. And I did a quarter tank. I needed a quarter tank to get me from KL to Ipoh, which is decent lah. I'm sure I could have done better or worse if I would have driven it harder. But I'm sure I could have done it better, and yeah. Quite like this engine. It's actually quite a decent engine, especially in this, let's call it a basic tune for the E200. So they might call it an uncle spec, but it definitely doesn't perform like an uncle's car. I actually would love it if Mercedes-Benz Malaysia would bring back the traditional emblem on top of the hood over there. I actually really like that. So hope they do eventually sometimes, but I read a report somewhere that says Mercedes-Benz is globally just going to ditch that. So end of an era. This is the reverse camera over here. So it comes out when you engage reverse, and watch this, yeah, it protrudes back, goes back into its, let's call it housing, goes back there, then comes back out. Cool. It's a gas tank, petrol tank. Let's go inside now. First things first, the aluminium trims. This is only for the avant-garde model. The AMG model or something gets a different finishing, and the E200 too gets a more wooden-like finishing inside here. I actually really like this. It feels really good to the touch. Would have been nicer. The speaker would have been nicer if it sat flush. It was of the same color with the door insets. Everything else is the same buttons, same everything. The seats are surprisingly good, I have to say. Really good. The side bolstering is actually very good. I mean, I'm surprised that Mercedes-Benz Malaysia actually opted for this seat, considering the demographic that will be buying the E-Class. You know, you get all types of people. Some are big, some are small. But the sport seats, though, are surprisingly comfortable, even though I'm a bit on the chunky side. I still had a lot of space to move around in the seat, comfortable, such. So there's no, even though you see this over here, there's no additional thigh support. So this is a dud. Okay, moving inside. Huge screen over here. Each of this is about 12.3 inches. This is touchscreen, of course. This is 12.3 inches, and this side is also 12.3 inches. This is not touchscreen. Fantastic that they managed to achieve that. So in total, it's 24 point something inches, 24.6 inches. So one massive screen over there, and you can see that the details on this is actually very crisp. The detailing is really nice. I thought it's really cool. So I can change how. So you can change how the entire meter panel looks like also. So you press this until this appears, and then you just slide your finger over this towards styles and display. Then you press it again for OK, and then this is classic. This is sport, and a couple of things change over here as well, like such as these lines over here. These are all yellow right now. They're a couple of yellow to keep up with the yellow spots theme over here in the main meter panel. So then you click it again, and then you go to styles and display again, and if you go to progressive, it's just this. So you get your kilometers per hour here, you get your RPM over here, you also get your kilometers per hour over here, but you can easily just change that by swiping this. Just swipe this. I don't quite like this, but I'll get to that later. So yeah, and then there's another setting, another style. It's called understated. This is pretty cool. So this part goes blank, and this just gives you the kilometers per hour here, and that gives you the time over there, and that's it. You can't change anything. I changed it back by pressing the back arrow. Pretty cool. So that's how you can adjust the meter panel to your liking. Everything else over here is pretty much the same as before. Not a fan of this Artico, I can't remember what it's called, Ashwood. Artico is the leather. Ashwood inside over here, I think it's not quite Mercedes-Benz level. It's, you know, so I mean, quality and wise it's nice, but it's just, well, the design is always subjective, right? So in my review, I don't quite like it. The other thing that I don't quite like is the new steering wheel. The design is really cool. The design is really nice, you know. It's like a throwback to the 60s steering wheels with the thin rims and such. But this over here, this is one big meter panel, touch panel over here right now. So you adjust the volume by sliding your fingers up. You see it adjusts over there by just sliding your fingers here. Answer call, reject calls, back, home, voice command. Quite confusing. And this is your favorite button over here, so you can program this to be whatever you want it to be. And over here is the same thing, but this home button, this OK, this back button controls that meter, whereas this over here controls this meter. And this is of course your cruise control, your set button, resume, cancel and such. But the problem that I have with this is I have sweaty palms. If I have sweaty palms, sometimes they don't quite work, so it doesn't do it for me. I still prefer the old, you know, having the dials and having that little touchpad thing over here, which this replaces. So I prefer the older setup. I wasn't quite a fan of that also, but I eventually grew to love it. However, now though it's a little bit weird. The shifter pedals though are really cool, even though they're some sort of a plastic or light aluminium. They're really, really nice. Generally, the car inside here, this, excuse my stuff over here, generally it's a really, really nice place to be, you know. This is also a touchpad over here, so you can adjust this by, so this is your drive mode selector. Press this, gives you eco, gives you comfort, gives you sport, sport plus, and individual. So yeah, each of this doesn't do anything to the suspension of the car, but it does something to the throttle as well as the steering feedback. And just depending on which mode you are in, whether you're in comfort, sport, sport plus, individual lets you customize exactly how you want everything to feel like. So that's great. Then let's see, what can I do with individual? So these are the things that you can set. Drive, you can make it comfort is light, sport is lighter, you know, and then steering, comfort, sport. Comfort is light, sport is lighter. The drive, I guess this means how fast the gear shift, and whether you want it to be in full manual mode, sport plus, sport, comfort, or eco. Eco just prioritizes fuel consumption, whereas comfort is a more laid back kind of shift. On ESP though is basically the same thing lah, just don't disturb this unless you know how to drift an E-Class. So yeah, fantastic. See, this is something that I always have a problem with, this piano black finishing. Of course this is very, very small over here, so it's negligible, but see how the dust just gathers over here as well. See how the dust just gathers, and all those fingerprints from all that touching. So that's not cool. Don't quite like that. And you get more piano black inserts over here. And this is something that I actually really like. Sunglasses, your shades compartment, sunglasses compartment. This is something that the previous generation, if I'm not mistaken, the W213 and such didn't quite have. But this is something I personally really appreciate because I use my shades a lot. And this, ta-da, it's lighted of course. So yeah, let's go to the back seat. Being an E-Class, you would expect the back seat to be extremely generous. And it is extremely generous. And it also comes with this privacy shades over here, privacy blinds. And you get this lights over here. So this is fantastic. Notice the rear view mirror is borderless. Really nice, but every time you adjust that thing, it leaves fingerprints. And 2 aircon vents over here. No, you don't get your own temperature setting. It's just open and close. 2 Type-C chargers over here, so that's great. 1 for each passenger. Isofix latches. This is something I think Mercedes will eventually have to change, because you can easily lose these caps over here. So something of more like a flap would be easier to manage. So some storage space over here. I guess you can place a phone, and yeah, this is storage cup holder. Nice. It's a very nice place to be. Oh, what's this? This is top tether for baby seats. This is, not sure what this is. So always remember to fold away your cup holders if you're going to buy this car. Seats are cool. Seats are really nice. I love the design. And entry level they may be, but in terms of comfort, they're really nice. So this is the Mercedes-Benz W213 facelifted E200. It's a really cool car. In the market right now for a little over 340,000, and totally value for money. Of course, it's amazing how far the entry-level E-Class have come. For what the amount of money that you're spending, for what you're getting, it's actually quite decent. Performance-wise, also, it's surprisingly good. From my drive from KL to Ipoh yesterday, there are some parts, fast corners and such, handling was top-notch, no complaints. Of course, it's a bit on the softish side. This is, after all, a family sedan, luxury sedan, so it's not quite a sports car. I'm going to drive the E300 later or some other time. I expect that to be a little more sports-oriented than this. But the amount of money you're spending, I think it's a damn good buy. So yes, thank you for watching. I'm Keshy Dhillon, and I just told you about this car, the new W213 Mercedes-Benz E200. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Thanks.